Welcome to the channel, everyone. I'm getting ready to go into an antique store. I'm looking for items to style my display case, and I was just going to do a shop with me to find items to style my display case. But I also have a DIY that I'm working on for some restoration hardware paper mache bowl dupes that's also going to be going in the display case. And then I thought, well, then later I could do a decorate with me to take all the items I found and DIY to style my display case. But then I thought, no. Why break it up into 3 videos? Why not make it 3 videos in one? Yes, so you're not getting just 1, not 2, but you're getting 3 videos in one. We're going to be doing a shop with me, we're going to be doing a DIY with me, and a decorate with me. All right, we are now in the antique store, but not everything in here is antique. I like to think of it as an indoor flea market, but you can find some really great items. I'm also looking for some books for my display case, and here's a tip. The easy way to look to see what color they are, I don't even take the dust cover off. I kind of just pull it back a little bit, and like for this one, I can see that it's two-tone. For this, also, you can see that it's two-tone. You see it's gray and black. And I would just pull them back just to see if they're solid. And if I see one that is solid, that's when I will just take it off, just to kind of look the lettering on the side. And that's really pretty. It has the gold lettering on it, but that's an easy way to kind of go through the books pretty quickly to see if you want that or not, just to lean it back and look at the color and then take it off if you find one you like. But as I mentioned, not everything in here is antique unless these are antique bras, but yeah, I like to think of this more like an indoor flea market. I had a laugh just now because we're walking through all this stuff and my mom says really loud, they got a lot of junk around here. Yeah, not all of it's antique, y'all. But my mom's savage. I found one thing for the display case. I found something for my foyer that I'm going to spray paint, and one other item for the kitchen. So when we get in the car, I will show you some of it and the rest when we get home. We are now going to head to Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree. I'm going to pick up some paint because I have the one item I purchased at the antique store, not the vase, another one I didn't even get to show you, is sitting in the back, but I want to spray paint it matte black. So I'm heading to Hobby Lobby and to Dollar Tree to also get the other items I need for my DIY. So we're going to head there, and then when we get back, I will show you everything I purchased from Hobby Lobby, the Dollar Tree, and from the antique store. During the time it would take me to go to Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree, I thought we would jump into the DIY I started over a week and a half ago, creating my restoration hardware paper mache bowl dupes. To create paper mache bowls, you will need some paper mache clay, and I found this recipe at the Ultimate Paper Mache YouTube channel, and I highly encourage you to check out her video linked in my description box. She goes into even more detail about the recipe for this project. For this recipe, you will want to use the cheapest toilet paper you can find. The cheaper it is, the easier it will be to break it down. And all I'm doing is putting it into a bowl of water and tearing it up into small pieces. End up getting 5 portions out of the toilet paper. Now all I'm going to do is squeeze some of the water out of it. You don't want to squeeze every bit of it. You do want some left because it's going to be easier to mix if there's just a little bit of moisture left in it. And now I'm adding the joint compound. Now you do not want to use the DAP, the DAP joint compound. There's something in it that will not work in this recipe, so be sure it is not DAP. And now I'm just adding the Elmer's glue wall to the mixture. I'm using my hand mixer to mix everything together. If you're only doing like one portion, you could probably just mix this up by hand. And now for the flour. With the flour, you only want to add half to begin with. You want to mix that up with the hand mixer, and then you want to, if you have them, use dough hooks instead of the beaters to incorporate the other half of the flour. The last ingredient is optional. You can either use baby oil or mineral oil. I had baby oil, so that's what I'm using. To create the mold and also to keep the paper mache clay from sticking to the bowl, you'll want to wrap it. I am using the Glade Press and Seal. And our cat decided that he wanted to make an appearance. I'm also using the press and seal on the table. I am wearing gloves because I am a very messy person when it comes to my DIY projects. I'm adding a little bit of baby oil. It didn't say to do this. I thought that maybe it would keep the clay from sticking to my gloves, and it did, but I noticed I had to keep reapplying it as I was shaping the bowl, and this is just like in pottery class. You're just going to mold it all the way around, and I cannot even tell you how thick or thin this layer was. I eyeballed it because I am the eyeball queen of the South. To get that very distinctive Restoration Hardware look, I'm just adding a rim all around the edge of it. I am just glopping some on there, kind of shaping it a little bit. I did notice that if I dipped my hand in water, it was easier to kind of maneuver the clay. And for the bottom of the bowl, I'm adding more clay. I'm using the water. It really does help keep everything from sticking together. And with this, I'm just going to form it into a little pedestal. And for my second paper mache bowl, I wanted to do a trough. So I had this beautiful white bowl, and I love the shape of it, and I thought it would be perfect to use as the mold for my next paper mache bowl, or tray, I guess you would call it. So the same thing, I am just adding all of the paper mache, I am pressing it down, and then at the very end, I did add a couple of feet. The bowls took about a week for them to completely dry. On the 5th day, I was able to pop the bowls out, and on the 6th and 7th day, I sat them out in the sun for a few hours each day to speed up the drying process. I went to Hobby Lobby. I picked up my paint for the round candle holder that we picked up at the antique store. Then I picked up some gray and like a linen color along with a little bit of brown. So I have all of those to paint the bowls with. Then I stopped by Dollar Tree because I needed some more moss. That is going to go in this bowl. And I also needed some paint brushes because I did not have any clean ones, any ones that really I could wash out and use without transferring the paint onto the bowls. And I also, for later when I have my tea tonight, picked up some chocolate. I will not eat both of these. I'll probably just eat half of one, but I did pick up the Godiva chocolates to have with my tea later tonight. Here are 3 of the items I picked up from the antique store. I have one other item sitting underneath the carport. I just took it out of the car and put it under the carport because I am going to be spraying it once I finish showing you these items. But the first is this beautiful vase. It was $8.50. I love the color. What I don't really care for is if you look really closely, there is like a crackle effect to it. I don't really care for that. What I want to do, and while I was in Hobby Lobby, I looked for some textured spray paint and I could not find any, but I love the color of this. I love that ivory color. I just don't care for all of the crackle on it, so I will be finding a textured spray paint and just spray paint it. This will be going in the foyer with some beautiful branches coming out of it, but for $8.50, I thought that was a fantastic deal. The other two items I picked up will be for my kitchen. I have an area that I'm going to be putting some shelves in, and I want to make a little vignette on the two shelves. I will pop a picture up of what I'm talking about. I want to get some neutral color cookbooks with some bowls, but I love the wood accents, and this was really, really neat. This is a cookie mold. It's made out of apricot wood. I have never heard of that before, and this was purchased at a Greek festival. It says a handcrafted gift from Damascus. And on the back it does say Greek festival, so that's how I know someone bought this from a Greek festival and now they're reselling it. But I purchased this for $6.50. It even has the recipe, which I thought was so cool. May even try to make it around Christmas. What do you think? Maybe for Vlogmas? Yeah, let me know. But I love the look of it. I love anything that's handcrafted. $6.50. I think this is going to be beautiful just sitting on top of some cookbooks on the shelf in my kitchen. I love these simple lines to it. Anything that's carved I think is gorgeous. Along with this cute little bowl that's also carved, and you guys, this was $1. I could not leave that behind. Look at all of the texture on that. It is so beautiful. Once again, this will go in the kitchen on top of maybe some cookbooks. I'm not sure yet, but I could not leave that behind for $1. So now I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to show you what I'm going to be spray painting to go in the display case. If you don't have one of these and you spray paint a lot, I would advise you to get one. They are fantastic. They will keep this finger from getting paint all over it every time you press the nozzle. They're very inexpensive. I will link them in the description box. All you do is take your can, you put it on top of it, and you just use a little trigger there to spray with. I'm going to let that dry now. I will give this paint a 10 out of 10 for a spray paint. It is a Krylon Color Master paint and primer. It has a very fine mist. It is fantastic, but I used their flat black, and look at that baby now. Isn't she gorgeous? I love it. Here are the bowls I created. As you can see, they're a little rough around the edges. They're not supposed to look perfect because they are handmade. I really love how it turned out. As you can hear, it is rock solid. Here is the larger one. I really do like how this one turned out. You can see the edges on here, really pretty. I just want to smooth the edges somewhat. Not worried about the inside because I'm going to be putting things inside of that. And here's the outside. But I think it's going to look really good once I start. Okay, there's the cat again. I'm going to use a piece of 120 sandpaper. This was just for one of my hand sanders. Neo, you've got to get out of the picture. I'm going to start painting. I'm going to give one coat of the bleach sand to both the bowls, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Mississippi mud. And depending on the color, I may also go in with the pale gray. I'm just going to use a paper plate as my little mixing board, first going in with the bleach sand. Now I'm going to try a little bit of the Mississippi mud on here just to kind of break up all of that solid color and just kind of blend it in with another brush. And now I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the pale gray. I added a little bit of the gray, did not like the gray, not going to be using that on the rest of this. I'm just going to stick with the bleach sand and the brown. The bowls are now dry. I did not paint the inside because I'm going to be putting something in it, but as you can see, it's that beautiful bleach sand color. I did put some of the Mississippi mud, which is that brown color, on top of it. I didn't care for it because it kind of turned it a terracotta color. So what I did was I went back over both bowls with the bleach sand just to make it that beautiful linen. It has a hint of brown to it, but not a tremendous amount. Now, I think if you used a much darker brown, it would work better, but this had a little bit too much red in it, and I just didn't care for that look. Here is the smaller paper mache bowl. I've already got it styled. I'm using moss along with moss rocks, along with newspaper underneath there, and you're going to need a glue gun, but I love that look. Now the moss rocks, the smaller ones I purchased from the Dollar Tree. The larger ones, I will leave a link to where I purchased these. And you don't want all the green the same color. I love the different textures and colors. See, some of these have a little bit more texture on them than these do. And the different colors of green, along with the Spanish moss. Yeah, the ones I purchased from the Dollar Tree is a little bit more brown. This is the reindeer moss. It's a little bit more green and has a different texture. So you'll want different textures and different shades of green, just so it doesn't look too artificial. Also, with the larger moss rocks, you'll want to cut them in half, as you can see, and that way you'll actually get 2 out of 1, because that's what I have over here. As you can see, they are just split in half and glued together. But let me show you how I achieved this look. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting my newspaper in here. This is going to make for a really great base and kind of give some height to the trough, so we can place all of our moss rocks on top. The moss rocks will weigh it down, and you can kind of maneuver it a little bit where it's not sticking so far up. And we are going to cover all of the newspaper in the middle, like in the gaps, with some of the moss, some of the reindeer moss, just to give it a more full and cohesive look. What I like to do is I like to kind of get the larger moss rocks and place them where I think I would like them. Once I have the larger ones where I think it looks very pleasing to the eye, then I will kind of go in with the smaller. And I like to kind of place them around first, especially the larger ones, before I glue them down, because I don't want to glue it down, have to rip it off the paper and redo it. So I just kind of eyeball it, see what looks kind of pleasing. And once I have the larger ones on there, it's easier to fill in the rest with the smaller ones. I'm using my Ryobi cordless glue gun. I love this, but it gets extremely hot. So if you purchase one, just be aware that it does get very hot. Here is how the trough is looking. As you can see, there are like gaps. We're going to fill those in with the dried moss to make it look a little bit more lush and to cover up all the newspaper. And anywhere you see where styrofoam is coming out, where some of the moss came off, I'm just going to cover that with the loose moss. But I love how this looks. I love layering too, where you can see I just put some of the rocks on top of the others. I love how that looks to kind of give it more dimension and height. But yes, let me go ahead and fill in the moss, and then we will be through with this project. I put the Spanish moss in certain areas. Some I had to hot glue, some I could just kind of shove in there. I love the contrast of the Spanish moss with all the different colors of green. Now I'm just going to go in with some of the reindeer moss and add those in certain areas. And some of these areas I may have to glue some. I'm just going to have to push in there, but I really love how it's coming along. Finished the bowls. I think they look fantastic. I think they look very high-end, very upscale. I cannot wait to get these in the display case. It's a little late at night. It's around 9:30 at night, but I thought I'd go ahead and style the display. Here are some other items I'm going to be using. All I did was just shop my home, and I also found some books that I'm going to be using, and my little head right here, that's that Lola that I created. If you missed that video, I will leave it linked in the cards. I took an old lamp I found at a thrift store and made her into a beautiful bust. Her name is Lola. She's beautiful. Here is the item I found at the antique store. All I did was spray it a matte black. It had the white speckles all over it. Didn't really care for that, so I went ahead and gave it a beautiful coat of the matte black. I may or may not be using this in the display case. It's in a little trophy cup along with some greenery and a beautiful purple geode. The geode was my oldest son's. He purchased it at a museum or something years ago, but I thought it looked really great in there. But I think it may be a little bit too much green if I also put that in there with the two paper mache bowls. Not sure just yet, but I am having my tea. This is some lavender honey tea from Yogi Tea. So fantastic, along with my Godiva chocolates. This is going to be very laid back, you guys, because I'm already in my robe. I'm starting off with this horse. I purchased this from Amazon. It came from Lamps Plus, but Amazon sold it. I will leave it linked in case you're interested. But I'm just going to prop him up in the corner and see how that looks. Next, I'm going to put our paper mache trough on the shelf. I think I'm just going to leave this by itself. It is so beautiful on its own. I don't think it needs anything to compete with it on the shelf. And I think I'm going to put it right here where you can actually see the majority of it as you walk by. But I really don't think it needs anything else beside of it to compete with it, because it is so beautiful on its own. And now I'm going to put my Lola bust on here. I will link that video in case you missed it. I created her from an old lamp. I'm going to prop her up on some books. And I think I'm going to try this shelf, see how that looks. But I think she needs something else. She's a little bit too short on her own. The scale doesn't really suit the rest of the display, so I'm just going to use some books to kind of make her stand out just a little bit more. And I'm using a gray, white, and black book, and they all have the gold lettering on the side. I really like how that looks. I think she looks really good paired with that. It makes her stand out a little bit more, and it gives a little more height to the display case, and the scale suits it just a little bit better. I love how Lola is looking on the books. And I like the black book here on the bottom. I think I'm going to try to put something black down here because I really want your eye to kind of move when you look at this. I don't want it to just stay in one place. So I think I may take the black candle holder that I spray painted matte black, put it here in the bottom corner with some books to kind of make your eye flow to there. So let's see how that looks. I've got this huge coffee table book, the black book. I'm going to put it here in the corner. And I think on top of that, I'm going to put a white book and then put the black candle holder on that. That way your eye will kind of flow as you look at everything on the display case. I really, really like how that looks. I love the black and white there, the black and white there. It kind of draws your eye down to there, kind of looking all over the display case. So I like that. Now I'm going to get my other paper mache bowl on here to see where I want to put it. I've got this here in the middle. I'm thinking, I don't know if I like it right here. I don't know why. Maybe I'll just change the horse to the other side, maybe. Let's see how that looks. And then the paper mache there. I don't know, something's not looking right over Lola's head. I like that. I think the horse, maybe just by himself, maybe that looks pretty good. Maybe this over to the side. Yeah, it's very pleasing to the eye, I believe, when you're looking at it, because your eye can draw down to there, from the black books to the black books, the green to the green. The horse just on its own, I think it looks spectacular. Now I think I'm going to try to style some books on the bottom shelf. I've only got 3 books left, and I believe none of these are white, which I think I would really like to get some more white books. So this may make my display case 90% of the way finished. I'm not sure yet, because I would like another white book down here. Maybe even some more books, maybe like a whole row of books, but we'll see. I am liking that. Putting these doors on are a booger, so it's going to take me a minute, so I'm just going to fast forward through all of this. So after struggling with it for about 10 minutes, I called Mr. C in here and he put the doors on for me because I couldn't remember how they went on there. But I love how this looks when you're looking inside of it. You see the horse at the top, our paper mache bowl, along with Lola on a stack of books. And down here you see more of the paper mache trough and our candle holder we found that we painted that beautiful matte black along with books. And as I said, I am just going to buy more books to put all the way on the bottom, just extend it all the way out. I think that will look so fantastic. But let me open this one. But I think if I just extend the books all the way out using white, gray, and black, it will look so beautiful. But yes, I am in love with how this looks, with shopping my home, shopping the antique store, doing a couple of DIYs. It's all come together. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this type of video. If you did, leave me a like. It really helps my channel. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know which was your favorite. I would love to do more of these where I do a shop with me, a DIY with me, and decorate with me in my robe. I don't know if that makes for a good title, but it's comfy. All right, guys, until the next video. Bye, loves.
You're making it brighter right through the gray.